Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira
Jayo Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakachacha Stotara Sata Shri Srimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Sakao Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Krishna Janmashtami. So today is the appearance of the best thing in our life, Krishna. And sometimes people wonder, why does Krishna come? He comes because if he didn't come, we would forget him completely. That's the problem. The material world is a place where spiritual souls come who want to forget Krishna. Just like, and why do they want to forget Krishna? They want to forget Krishna because they don't want to follow what he orders. Just like a criminal is put in a prison because he doesn't want to follow the law of the government. Nonetheless, when he's in a prison, he still has to follow the law, but under very harsh conditions. So whether we're in the spiritual world or whether we're in the material world, we have to follow Krishna. Krishna says, everybody follows my path. Without exception. Except here, it's difficult. Whereas in the spiritual world, it's unending bliss. Anyhow, I'm going to read a little bit from the Krishna book, and then I'll speak for a few minutes and then give you time. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So the birth of Lord Krishna. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky, and on the surface in all towns and villages and pasturing grounds, and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing with a sweet voice, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the brahmanas who were accustomed to offering sacrifices in the fire found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Due to disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire had been almost stopped in the houses of the brahmanas, but now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the brahmanas had been very much distressed in mind, intelligence and activities, but just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy, because they could hear transcendental vibrations in the sky proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One time, our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was asked what is needed in the material world. And he said, from my point of view, having seen everything, there is only one thing missing: Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we try in so many ways to adjust our life, to be happy, to be progressive. We're all looking for love, we're all looking for affection. But we're designed to have these things, love, affection, prosperity, only in connection with Krishna. If you remove Krishna, then nothing will happen. You cannot make any progress. And therefore Krishna comes, millennium after millennium. Sambhavami yuga yuga. Yuga after yuga, Krishna comes to remind us that I am here, I am the Lord of all the creation. When he comes, nobody can equal him. Krishna has 6 qualities, 8 perfections, and 8 opulences. And those qualities cannot be matched or imitated by anybody else. For example, Krishna's first quality is his beauty. The beauty of Krishna comes in waves. Just like when we see something beautiful, we become enlivened. But then the moment passes, but not with Krishna. Krishna continues to grow in beauty. It's like if you go to the ocean and try to go out beyond the waves to surf or something, first you have to get over the breaking waves. So you go into the ocean and the wave breaks, you go underwater, you get up and you walk a little further, the next wave comes, kaboom, 3-4 times until you get out. So Krishna's beauty is like that. You see, Krishna is so beautiful and it breaks you, you become mesmerized. And when you regain your composure, again is there, more beauty. And it increases more and more and more. Where are you going to find that? The beauty in the material world decreases. You meet a beautiful woman or a handsome man, okay, she's beautiful, he's handsome, but from that point, that beauty diminishes. Diminishes because this is the nature of the material world. So Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. That to protect the devotees, vinashaya cha, and to destroy the duskritas, the miscreants, sambhavami yuga yuga. I come every millennium. So Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, and what is the first thing that happened? First thing that happened is that they tried to kill him. That's the first thing that happened. As soon as he was born, Kamsa wanted to kill him. Not just anybody wanted to kill him. The king, the executive head of the government, the one who was in charge of the benefit of the progress and well-being of the citizens. That very king was the first one to want to kill Krishna. And guess what? Things haven't changed. It's still the same. Prabhupada once said, if they actually read my books, they would kill me. Because Prabhupada was the original revolutionary. He wanted to revolutionize the impious life of everyone. And it begins at the top. So when Krishna was born, Kamsa sent one after another, all his associates. And they all had one thing in common. They hated Krishna. So, Krishna's beauty, Krishna is beautiful, Krishna is rich, Krishna is famous, Krishna is strong, Krishna is opulent, and Krishna is renounced. These are the 6 qualities of Krishna. And Krishna has these qualities to an unlimited degree. And that's the definition of God. Parasara Muni said that anyone who has these 6 qualities, beauty, wealth, strength, fame, like that, to an unlimited degree, at the same time, that is the definition of God. So, we are saying that Krishna is God, and some people are saying, well, no, we believe in another God, or we believe in something else. So then, whoever you believe in, show me that he has these 6 qualities, and show me that these qualities are unlimited. Now, I may be rich, you may be rich, but you cannot claim that we have the riches of everything. But Krishna was so rich and so powerful that he created a whole city. He married 16,000 queens, he had 16,000 palaces. And it was amazing. Nobody had ever done that before, and nobody will ever do it again. This is Krishna's richness. And as far as his strength is concerned, he was never defeated by anyone. Nobody ever defeated Krishna. Even when he was a small baby, Purna couldn't kill him. Trinavata couldn't kill him. Shakatashura couldn't kill him. Vatsasura, Bakasura, Agasura, all these demons came, one after another, to Vrindavan to try and kill Krishna. Krishna would kill them. There is no such history. So that history is there, and people who don't believe in God, who don't believe in Krishna, they say, well, it's just mythology, it's just stories. But they're not stories. This history is coming down in the cyclic succession, and it is being witnessed by great authorities, people who have no reason to lie, We have no reason to cheat. A teacher who takes money for teaching isn't a real teacher. He's not teaching. He's actually there for the money. He's not there to teach. The teaching is just a side business so that the money can come. The most important thing is the money. You take the wealth away, the teaching stops. But the great saints who preach about Krishna, who testify to Krishna's presence, testify to Krishna's activities, they're not like that. They're not there for the money. They are there because they actually have realized within their heart the presence of Krishna. So, beauty, his strength, his knowledge, who can compare to Krishna's knowledge? You know, I'm 81 years old, and I grew up without television. When I was young, when I lived in South Africa, there was no TV. So my main business was reading books. And I used to be a permanent feature at the public library, and I would always come home with a stack of books. And by the time I reached my late 20s, when I came to Holland, I had read thousands of books, but I hadn't heard Krishna's name one time. In the thousands of books that I read, there was no mention of Krishna. Nothing. It took Prabhupada to come here and establish Krishna. So, the depth, so we were talking about knowledge. So, when I came here and I met the devotees, I began to read the Bhagavad Gita. And it is such a book that if I was stranded on a desert island and I could only take one book, that's the book I would take. The Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God. And it is, the more you read it, the more beautiful it is. So in the Greek, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Madhya Bharata, Madhya Arjuna. Whenever there is a decline of religious principles, dharmasya glani. Glani means to decline, and dharma means not just religion. Dharma means our living force. What is our intrinsic nature? Just like the dharma of water is liquidity and transparency. If the liquid isn't liquid, it's not water, it's ice. The dharma of fire is heat and light. So the dharma of the living entity is to serve. We become happy when we serve. Whether we serve our family, whether we serve our children, whether we serve the government, we are actually intrinsically built to serve. And we become fully satisfied when that service expands more and more. Then what we actually do, what we actually design for, becomes exciting because we're doing what we're supposed to do. And by doing it, if it increases, that increases our pleasure. You understand? It's very simple. And when this pleasure is connected with Krishna, it doesn't end. Whereas material pleasure, there's a problem with material pleasure. Material pleasure is like a movie, okay? So you go to the movie and it's beautiful, oh, beautiful screen, and the actors are performing the scenes. You become totally absorbed in the movie. You follow the actor, you follow the actress. These people are so famous because of this ability to act. But there is only one problem with the movie. You know, everybody can tell me what the problem is with the movie? What?
It ends.
Right, the end. That's the problem with the movie. Very good, Mata.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
That's a fact. It's such a bad movie. What do you think people commit suicide? Because the movie is so bad, they don't want to be in it anymore. So let me kill myself. It's common. Listen, I know what I'm talking about. I tried before I became a devotee. So I know what it's like to feel so distraught, to feel so unhappy, to feel so hopeless that you think, let me finish it. What is the point? I've been there. I know what it's like. It was a miracle that Krishna saved me. Not once, twice. So I know what I'm talking about. The end. And there is a reason for that. There is a reason why we get old, why we die, why we get sick. And the reason is to remind us this place is not our permanent situation. We don't belong here. This is not, we belong with Krishna. We belong somewhere where our happiness will continually increase and never stop. Because here, the material world is like a bad casino. You know what a casino is?
Yes.
Like a Holland casino? Okay. What's a bad casino is where you can go and gamble, but you cannot take your winnings with you. Huh? Suppose you go to the casino and they say to you, my dear sir, please come, gamble, but you cannot take your winnings with you. How many people do you think will come there?
Only the fools.
Nobody will go, exactly. So only the fools are in this casino of the material world. Because no matter what you win here, you have to leave it behind. People say, I can't, show me God, I cannot see God. But you can see God when you die. At the moment of death, then you know there is a supreme power above you, because you don't want to die, but you have to die anyhow. What does that mean? That means somebody is forcing me to die. There is a power beyond me. So that's the first step of understanding God. That's the material world is designed for that. So Krishna gives us knowledge how to understand these things. Not just to understand them, but to incorporate them in our lives. To the point where I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 50 years, and I don't want to hear anything that's not connected with Krishna. I just feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I meet friends, God brothers, devotees, and we talk about things, but I'm always thinking, when are we going to talk about Krishna? What is that? That's the great blessing that you can get by following the instructions of Krishna. He comes to remind us that I exist. I'm not only here, I'm also in your heart. He comes to teach us how to become fully happy, Krishna conscious. You don't need anything else. You don't need, the other day we were going into the countryside, and as we were driving towards Arnhem, we went through many forests. And it was so beautiful to see the trees and the lush vegetation. And Krishna's life is built around the forest. He lives in Vrindavan. Van means forest. He doesn't live in a city. The Krishna who lives in Mathura and in Dwarka is Vasudeva Krishna. Vasudeva Krishna is that sadhu Krishna that takes care of business, like killing the demons, protecting the devotees, making sure the management is going on. He engineered the whole Kurukshetra war just to put King Yudhishthira in charge, a devotee, to teach us that unless there is a devotee in control, the material world doesn't work properly. So Krishna doesn't live in Mathura or Dwarka. Krishna lives in Vrindavan. And he doesn't take one step outside Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parijjaja ekam padam nagachati. He doesn't take ekam padam, one step outside Vrindavan. And what is Vrindavan? It's a forest. What does Krishna do in Vrindavan? Does he rule over people? Does he show off his opulence? No, he takes care of the cows. As if he was some kind of a uneducated clodhopper. Know what a clodhopper is? Okay, a clod is a little piece of mud. Clodhopper means like an animal who jumps over it. It's an English expression. But Krishna shows us by his example that living in Vrindavan, taking care of the cows, and depending upon the forest, depending upon the river, depending upon the vegetation, everything is given to us. Krishna is already taking care of us. When we go out of the door, guess what? There is a plate of prasadam from each of us. Did that happen by chance? No, somebody organized it. Ultimately, Krishna organized it. So he takes care of us at every step. So he's saying, if you depend upon me, you don't need to do anything. You need to simply live to understand your spiritual nature, then automatically your material needs will decrease. You don't have to think how to become detached. You don't have to become a renunciate and go and live in a cave. Automatically you become detached from material things the more you become dependent on Krishna. And the more you become dependent on Krishna, the more you feel protected. Just like a baby, when he's in the lap of his mother, he feels happy. Put him on another lap, he starts crying. People sometimes they criticize India, Vedic culture. Oh, you protecting cows. So many people in India are hungry, and so why don't you feed them the cows? Why don't you kill the cows and feed them? You know, but actually they don't understand what is cow protection. Cow protection works only if a person is interested in understanding his spiritual identity. Because when you go onto the spiritual path, your material needs automatically diminish. You don't need cities, you don't need machines, you don't need money, you don't need any of these things. All you need is to eat something, have some shelter over your head, and have peace around you. And you can do that if you get a little piece of land and a couple of cows. You don't need, I lived in a village when I grew up. I'm Italian, I grew up in Italy in a small village. We lived off the land. It is possible. So, we protect cows to make life, material life, less complicated. That's Krishna consciousness. The opposite of Krishna consciousness is to make life more and more complicated. Why do the leaders of our present society want to make life complicated? Because if they make life complicated for you and me, they can exploit us better. That's why. So wake up. Vakka worden. Hare Krishna. So any questions or any comments?
Yes.
Yes, Mata. Tell me.
Why you didn't mention Srimati Radharani? Because one of Krishna's favorite pastime was Radharani.
Okay, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because when I read Bhagavad Gita, and there is 700 verses in the Gita, they are so important to me, so wonderful, that I pray to Krishna that one of these lives, let me memorize all 700 verses. I know about 100 of them, but I would like to know them all 700. And when I read Srimad Bhagavatam, which is 18,000 verses, guess what? I don't see the name of Radharani anywhere.
But she's right there next.
That's her blessing. That is, actually this Radha Krishna is really Lakshmi Narayan for us.
Okay.
Because Krishna doesn't talk about Radharani to anybody, not even to Balaram. There is no such example. Prabhupada very rarely talked about Radharani, only on her appearance day, on Radhastami, in 2 weeks. Prabhupada would speak about Radharani, but very cautiously. The mercy of Radharani is not something you can grab. No, it has to come down to you. As you become qualified, so Radharani will manifest the mercy within her heart. And for us, the connection to Radharani, of course, is Prabhupada. So we don't talk too much about Radharani. Although we, within our heart, within my heart, every day I think of Radharani, but I don't talk about it. It's my business, it's private.
Is it because she was married?
Well, I don't know that much about Radharani's household business, but I know that her marriage was just something which is within the Gokula Vrindavan, not Goloka, but Gokula Vrindavan here, to make her relationship with Krishna more intense, it was much more dangerous, more subject to public criticism, so that her love for Krishna would overcome all these things. So that was just a ploy. She wasn't really married, don't forget about that. Nobody got married.
I'm also not married.
Good for you. Any other questions? Yes, Braja Sundari.
Hare Krishna.
See, that's Radharani, Braja Sundari, the most beautiful person in Braj. Feminine,
I'm
Sundari.
becoming jealous.
Yes, Sundari.
You were speaking about prior to becoming a devotee that you felt, what's the point? And I'm wondering, is there, because, personally I see around me and I also experience myself that the sense of hopelessness, emotions are absolute, can be so strong. You know, when we're chanting together, it's just so beautiful. We're so happy. But yeah, the heaviness of the material world, and sometimes it's very overwhelming. So also when I see people very depressed, I'm not always sure what to tell them. When I tell them, well, it's just temporary. It's almost like it lacks this deeper sense of compassion that they're still experiencing it so absolutely that some just don't get out. There's also devotees who can't handle it being here. You know, so I was wondering, what was it for you that, because you just mentioned, okay, this is not where we're supposed to be, and that's how I came out of it.
I don't know, frankly,
You don't
I
know
was
how
just-
you came out of it?
I was just walking down the street here in Amsterdam in 1972 or 73, and then I met some friends and we were sitting at the Veteranskans at an open air cafe, drinking our coffee and talking nonsense. Suddenly I heard this clink, clink, clink coming down the road. And there was this 3 brahmacharis, 3 monks dressed in saffron, and they were chanting Hare Krishna. So we moved by. So I looked at this and thought, wow. And I said to my friend, that's far out. But too far, but far out. So who are they? So my friend said, we don't know, they're from America, it's something to do with Krishna. 3 days later, they called me up and said, Carlo, we have a friend who's just come from America, he knows everything about Krishna, we're bringing him to your house. So this person comes to my house, his name is Alex, he knew Prabhupada, he gave me a Krishna book, and he said to me, see, this is Prabhupada. He said, this is the most advanced person on this planet. He said, you have to become a devotee. He said, first of all, become a vegetarian. He said, I'm already a vegetarian. Oh, he said, then he said, no gambling, couple of other rules, not so important. And that is philosophy. So he became like my guiding guru. I began working with him, and then I met the devotees, I visited the temple, met your father in the Batania Straat. I met your uncle, Surabi, in the Melkweg at night. After 10 o'clock, they would close the tea shop, and then people could do a little bit of what they like. So Surabi would come and play Hare Krishna Temple LP. So I used to hear so like this. But why it happened to me, I don't know. All I know is that Krishna is in my heart, and I must have done something in previous life. But I think mainly was that Prabhupada wanted us Westerners to become Krishna conscious. And because of his desire, Krishna made the arrangement. Not by chance that you're where you are and where I am where I am. Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, I don't have to tell you that Krishna says that one who says that he is my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says that he is the devotee of my devotee, he is my
Yes.
devotee. So I would say that the most important devotee for all of us is Srila Prabhupada, and that it is very important that being a devotee of Prabhupada means that we do what he wanted. So can you say a few, and I have this feeling that there is a very big risk in ISKCON that we deviate too much from Srila Prabhupada. That people think, we have to change the time, changing, so... Can you say a few things about that?
Well, I lived in India for 10 years. 5 years were in Bengal. And I always used to come to Calcutta because I was traveling on a minibus, so you had to come to Calcutta if you needed anything, even a new set of tires. Calcutta was the center. So did some research on Prabhupada and got a lot to know. The thing is, before Prabhupada came to the West, he was just a sannyasi in Vrindavan. Nobody knew him, nobody knew about him. Many god brothers there had started different maths. They were the leaders of Vaishnava community. And the Nityananda Vamsa dynasty that managed Radharaman, Radha Damodar, all these temples in Vrindavan, they were the actual gurus of the normal Hindu pilgrims. Prabhupada was just a new sannyasi who lived in Vrindavan. So when he came to America and the news began to spread that Americans and Europeans were becoming devotees, Vaishnavas, pure Vaishnavas, That was like a thunderbolt in India, unheard of. 700 years of Muslim rule, 200 years of British rule, not one devotee, not one single pure devotee came out of those 900 years. Prabhupada came to America and suddenly hundreds of people were becoming devotees. When we used to travel in Bengal in the 70s, people used to line the street just to look at us because they'd never seen any white person dressed in saffron and chanting Hare Krishna. So when Prabhupada did it, that became a sensation. And it caused a lot of anger for people also because they felt, hey, he is one swoop, he took everything away from us. But he did it. And no matter who it is, no matter which guru you follow, which sadhu you follow, which path you go, if it's connected with Krishna, you have to give respect to Prabhupada because he's the one who did it. He's the one who came and brought Krishna here. Everybody may say whatever they want, but they cannot repeat that because he did it. So, my advice is read Prabhupada's books every day, listen to his lectures. Like in my house, I have an MP3 player, and I have Prabhupada's lectures beginning from 65 all the way to 77. And whenever I walk in the kitchen to cook or anything, first thing I do is put on the MP3. And I listen, and he's talking, and I'm doing my thing. Sometimes he says some things that move me so much, I stop my cooking and I offer my businesses right there on the floor. Just because what is, and I'm not stupid, I told you, I've read thousands of books. I'm an educated person. I'm not even English, I'm Italian. So, what he presented is just unparalleled. So we got to give him credit for that. And in his 24-hour period when Prabhupada was with us, he would keep the most important period for translating his books in the middle of the night, from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., those 3-4 hours. In Vrindavan, when I was there in 76, I used to sometimes do the 24-hour kirtan, so when my shift was from 2 to 5, I would see Prabhupada in his room, inside a mosquito net, translating his books. And I thought, wow, he's so busy during the day, because there's so many commitments for the society, building the temples, guiding the devotees, writing letters. But his books are so important, he made time when nobody could disturb him, in the middle of the night. He made time to write. So if you want to get his mercy, read his books. Just like, you know, if I write something and I publish it and you read it, I feel happy. So Prabhupada feels happy when we read his books. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to say I read his books. So first the Gita, and now I bought the Srimad. So I have some time to spend in my chair. You talk about respect, and I do respect very much the books of Prabhupada. But sometimes I ask myself if he respects women, because I just want to be sincere, and I just read it, and then there are all those lines about women, and then I really get sad, because I think that Krishna, I don't think that he disrespects women, and that he doesn't think they are intelligent, and I just want to feel connected with this community, but I can just not believe that if he was so high up person, that he disrespects women like this. So I really have this question, how should I read this?
Okay, it's not a new question, by the way. It's a question that went on even when he was here, and people asked him directly. His answer was always, they're not women, they're Vaishnavas, they're devotees. That is the very basic bottom line. We also love cows. We respect cows, but you know, we don't bring them to the temple. There's no cows here, there's no cats, there's no dogs. Why? It's not because I don't like dogs and cats. I love dogs and cats. Especially, you know, when I walk in the street and I see a dog and I smile at him. And the dog becomes happy and the owner becomes happy too. So, but if I brought all the cats and dogs in Amsterdam or some of them here, what do you think will happen? It will be chaos. Because they're dogs and cats, they may be spirit souls, we understand that. But you have to treat them for what they are, They identify. So women, if they're not Krishna conscious, they're a very dangerous proposition. I told you that
Men also.
that I became suicidal sometime.
Yeah, men also.
And you know who was at the bottom of it? A woman. That's both times.
Yeah, but is that the fault of
Because
the
I
woman?
couldn't handle my relationship with the woman because I couldn't see them as spirit souls.
Okay.
I saw them as a woman, and they saw me as a man, and then the whole thing became unmanageable. So the Shastras, not only Prabhupada, tell us that we have to be careful in dealing with women. They say that women are like fire and men are like butter.
Is that the fault of the
Sorry,
man?
can I,
I think?
So when we come together, man and woman, it has to be done in a Krishna conscious way. Then there is no entanglement. Then if there is a partnership, because a man needs a woman and a woman needs a man, and the relationship with the man and woman is not always about physical sex. Physical sex is to produce children. The relationship is about a loving respect for each other, hugging, embracing, being kind to each other, being there when you need each other. So you can do that if you understand your spirit soul, and the purpose of that combination of man and woman is to make spiritual advancement, not just to produce children and get entangled in material life. Be careful.
Is it?
Yes,
So growing up in an Indian family, we always worship Krishna. Like I've seen my mother doing stuff, my father
99%.
99%.
It's a fact.
And I always had that question, and I also, when I was a young kid, I asked my mom, we treat Krishna as a God-like creature. He's a divine incarnation and should be treated like God. But why do you think Krishna was involved into some human-like actions? Like he was involved in a war, he was involved in deception, he was giving tricks to Arjuna to cheat in the war. Why do you think a god or a god-like creature would do something of this sort, like a human, like a human or a normal person would do?
If you actually study Krishna's Leela, why he appeared, what he did and what he didn't do, then you'll understand it perfectly. You wouldn't even have to ask me the question. But Krishna steals butter. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Nobody can argue with that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Krishna, he is a Supreme Lord. So indirectly, he is responsible for the situation in the material world. Therefore, he created the Kurukshetra war to put a Krishna-conscious king on the throne, Yudhishthira and his brothers. In fact, Duryodhana and his father, Dhritarashtra, they were competent administrators. Duryodhana was a very competent politician. But he didn't believe in the next life in connection with Krishna. So he missed that reality. And that's the reality is that we are spirit soul and we are eternal servants of Krishna. When Sanatana Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, Ke ami, who am I? Kemon amare japa tapatrai. Why am I suffering the miseries of the material world? He and I, Jani, this I don't know. Kemone hitahoy. I don't know how to benefit myself. So please tell me. You know what Mahaprabhu said? He said, Jiver Swarup hoy Nitya Krishna Ras. Your Swarup, your actual situation, who you really are, is the eternal servant of Krishna. That point Duryodhana missed. Therefore Krishna put Yudhishthira in charge. But then came the end of the Kali, or the end of the Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga began. And in Kali Yuga, all bets are off. You cannot even have, there is no place where there is a Krishna conscious government. In fact, they are very expert at killing Krishna. Although when Krishna was present, he could defend himself. But now Krishna is not present, so they're killing him at every moment.
I have one last question.
What?
A last question I have.
Go ahead.
I always wonder, you did say in the beginning, the spiritual souls wanted to come to the material world to enjoy. So when my children want to do something wrong, I locked them in the room. So why didn't Krishna, he's the Almighty God, they say nothing moves without his permission, why he didn't stop the spiritual
You know why?
world?
Because we're so damn stubborn that if Krishna would lock us up, we would create heaven and hell for him in such a way that in the end he said, all right, you want to go, go. It's like a child throwing a tantrum. You want something, no, you can't have. No, I want it. Boom, he will lie on the floor, kick his legs, scream, shout. Nothing can be done until you give him what he wants. It's the same with us, even worse.
But I'm not satisfied with the question.
And?
He is God.
But he gives us that independence because without independence there cannot be love. Love means that I choose to serve Krishna. Not that he forces me to serve him, then it's not love. Then if I take a gun and I point it at you and say, you have to love me, otherwise I'll shoot you. Are you going to love me? You're going to act like you love me, but you're not really going to love me. You're afraid of the gun. So Krishna cannot force, and he does not force. He's supremely independent, and we are minutely independent. But that independence is very, very, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. Don't misunderstand how difficult it is for us.
A very last question.
Go ahead.
So, when we are in the material world and we suffer pain, we cry, Krishna, Krishna, help me, please, please, get me out of here. Then why you don't listen?
It's like the lady. There is this lady in India, right, in Bengal, and she's walking along the Ganga and she's carrying a big load of wood and things for the fire. So she's walking along and then she strips and the load falls down. So she's crying, Krishna, Krishna. So Krishna came and says, yes, what can I do for you? Oh, help me put the load back, please. This is our problem.
Can I?
Yes, Prabhu.
Point Ananda Swami, he once told me that he asked Prabhupada the critical question so that he would join the movement. So he asked Prabhupada, if this material world is made of suffering and everything, why did Krishna create it? Then Prabhupada looked at him and said, Krishna didn't create it, you created it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like a madhouse. Like there's a madhouse in Amsterdam. The government creates a madhouse or the prison house because they are mad people. So Krishna creates the material world, but it's actually our creation. We want to be independent, so he's giving us the illusion of independence. But at the same time, he's put some very strict conditions like birth, old age, disease, and death. You cannot be happy in the material world. You can be happy only when you surrender to me. Therefore, sarva dharmam parijyaja mam ekam sharanam braja. Give up everything, surrender to me, then aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasami. I will liberate you from all sinful reaction. Means all our obstacles will be removed. And he says, Masucha, don't be afraid. So what's the difficulty? Surrender to Krishna. He provides even for people who don't surrender to him. He's providing what they need. You think he's not going to provide for you if you surrender? Any other points?
Prabhu, could I just say one thing about this little moment with the question about Prabhupada's, because, growing up with the scriptures, I remember being really distraught even of the story about Draupadi, really not understanding it, and I just remember that my mother told me about this beautiful quote where Prabhupada said that the brahmacharis were complaining about the Western women, saying that they
Since day one. Oh,
Yes.
why are they in the front? They should be
Yes.
at the back.
Yeah, but also that how they dress, and then
Yeah,
Prabhupada
but they
said,
don't cover their head.
yeah, and he said if you are disturbed, then you need to go to the
That's
forest.
right. But instead of
It's
sending
not
the woman
that-
out,
Yeah. So it's like it's just important to understand that we're both struggling when we identify with the body, man and women. But when we go beyond that concept, we can actually become less disturbed. But if I see women, I see man, it's how to spiritualize this concept. In other ways, yes, there's a lot of also
Exactly.
also translations in Prabhupada's books that are also in that old-fashioned English, and sometimes it was also a little bit rough. And he also had a lot of comments from his disciples about this. If maybe, so there's a lot about this. And what helped me a lot when I would get disturbed, I would also get really sad sometimes, because it's about unity and diversity in the philosophy, and not about looking at the differences. Is to ask junior devotees, and maybe also Vaishnavis, like now you're asking Vaishnava, but there's also Vaishnavis that can help you further with this concept, how they actually dealt with that. And I just wanted to share that.
You know, Prabhupada initiated almost 5,000 devotees. More than 1,000 were women. How is it that 1,000 women accepted him as their master? He wasn't particularly beautiful or tall or powerful. He was an old man. Why? Why they went to him? Why did they love him? Because he saw them for who they were, spirit souls. He didn't see them as a woman. And he protected them against misogyny. Yes.
Can I make also make a short remark about? I heard you say something about being disrespectful, mentioning intelligence. Now, shortcut. You know the game of chess. There are two competitions. You have a male competition and a female competition. The reason is because on average, the specific kind of intelligence that is used in chess is higher in males. Now, females have other qualities in which they are better than men. But it is a fact that actually the best chess players are men. So that is not disrespectful to women. What Prabhupada says, that the women are less intelligent. He's actually making an observation that is confirmed. But I can understand that I can understand if you hear that out of context that it can actually, okay, you can have a question with it. I respect that.
I want to add something.
But this is a good example, I think. Yes.
We're living in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means that there are many women in the bodies of men and many men in the bodies of women. The bodily distinction doesn't work anymore. There are men, physically men, but they are unable to do what a woman does. And there are women who can do the job of a man better than a man can. So, we don't have Brahminical culture, we don't have Janmashtami, we don't have a Brahminical class, we don't have people, enlightened people, teaching us how to live. It's out of control, so the only thing we can do is chant Hare Krishna and pray, and He's in our heart, He will protect us. This is the only Kali Kalir Dharma Harinam Sankirtan. That the Dharma or the religion or the activity for spiritual progress in Kali Yuga is simply chanting the name of Krishna. A hook up a crook, don't stop chanting.
Hare Krishna.
Anything else?
Yes, a very,
Yes.
We said last question.
yeah, a very, very,
She
very
said
last.
very last question.
As long as we think as man and woman, we will never get mukti. One thing what is bothering me is in a mandir. When you enter the praying room, you are told this is the woman's life, that is the man's life, and you mustn't mingle. But if you keep this concept, because we are not this body that Prabhupada said. The
Yes.
important
There is no question of mukti if you don't understand you're a spirit soul.
No, but the important thing Prabhupada said, we are not this body. I don't see myself as a woman. I'm a soul.
Yes, and the proof of that is that your lifestyle reflects that belief. That's why we have some rules. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Why? Because if I understand I'm a spirit soul, I don't engage in those things that take me away from that knowledge into the body. I control the body to understand. Controlling the senses means to understand you're a spirit. You cannot understand you're a spirit if your senses are out of control. It's like somebody driving in a motor car. As long as he's in control of the car, he can get from A to B, no problem. But if there is an accident, if the car begins to sway at high speed, chaos. He's out of control. Anything can happen. It's an accident.
Yes, that are the rules of the society. They want to order the society. You have to walk left, don't walk right, don't walk in the middle. That's
Yes.
the government.
Therefore, we're saying, therefore, our proposal to the society is, have your rules based on understanding that we are spirit soul. Create a society which brings us closer and closer to understand our spiritual identity. Not a society that teaches us to consume more and more and more and to enjoy the senses more and more and more, and we forget we are spirit. A society that doesn't believe there's life after death. A society that doesn't understand that we are coming from many, many previous lives. We all may be born with equal opportunity, but we're not born equal. That means there is a previous history. That kind of society we want. And that's in Prabhupada's books. Of course, that's not very good for business. That's the problem. All right. Yes, Prabhu.
I have maybe a question like, what is, as of yet, what is your most favorite pastime of Krishna?
My favorite pastime of Krishna? I like it when he kills demons. Before Krishna and Balaram went to Mathura, they killed 12 demons. Putna, Trinavarka, Shakatasura, Vatsasura, Bakasura, Agasura, then Pralamba, then Dhenukasura, then Vyomasura, then Shankachura. So these are the demons that Krishna killed before he went to Dwarka. And each demon represents one part of ignorance. Like Putna, the first demon he killed, she came dressed very beautifully. She represents the material energy that we, and they gave, Yashoda gave Krishna to her. Can you believe that? She took Krishna and she put him on Putana's lap. So like we put ourselves onto the lap of illusion. This material society in which we live is a society full of illusion. You have to be very careful. But if you keep chanting, then that will make you expert, just like you're an expert Mridanga player who was listening. It didn't happen overnight. You know, you had to practice. Okay? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Today is a good day to ask Krishna for some spiritual blessing, because this is his birthday, so he's very generous today. Okay, so don't forget to ask him. Hari Bol.
Ananda Svarupa ki jai.
Jai.
Let's read a little bit about Krishna. So at 11:30 there will be an offering of 108 items, and we will end today at 12 midnight with the Aarti, after which there is prasadam. So please stay till then. We will continue now. Like Prabhu said, it is really important to read Srila Prabhupada's books.
So we will read a little bit from Krishna book.
Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Parima. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Parima. So, chapter 1, the advent of Lord Krishna. Once the world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of different kings, who were actually demons, but were posing themselves as the royal order. At that time, the whole world became perturbed, as the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumi, went to see Lord Brahma to tell of her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi assumed the shape of a cow, presented herself before Lord Brahma with tears in her eyes. She was